Or stained glass. Some memories should stand out, like literally. Nice, right? A little luxury goes a long way. Make it shine. Gold or silver foil, glow in every detail. Centering everything feels.
All right, next level family, how you doing? We doing good? I'm feeling a little bit old. I'm feeling like it's closer to my bedtime than it should be, but we got it. We're gonna be good. So this first day has been incredible. We've got another session with xTool and it's gonna be fantastic. And we're gonna have a mixer party after this for all of you young people. The rest of us will be checking out, but that's okay. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And then the next 2 days are gonna be even better. So without any further ado, I'm gonna say thank you again to my friend Stein and hand it over to Stein and the xTool team. Give it up for them, give them a big hand, it's gonna be great.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone, and welcome back. If you're new here, don't forget to scan the QR codes on your table. And like I mentioned, we have another round of entry for Lucky Draw. And the winner for this round is going to be O1 Dual Late UV Omni Printer. So stay till the end, all right? And then you have to be here to receive the prize, okay? Tracy was here, so she got the F2. And then just a quick favor here, if you haven't scanned, also you can scan this one next to my Q face. And without further ado, I do want to start this session from making, this title again, the rise in the city of one. And as I mentioned, there's so many of you here from different level and perspective and categories of making things, right? Like I mentioned, that ecosystem we're trying to build here. And I think that personalization, customization of business is what brought us here. And I wanted to make sure that we tell a good story about you guys. So that's why in this session, we will invite 3 people, 3 small business owners from different city, from different categories, and they are also an extra user. But before that, I do want to showcase the meaning, the rising of the city of one, what's behind the scene, who is making those stories heard. So please take a look at it.
Behind what we build is the life we want to live and the courage to make it our own. At xTool, we believe we are all born to make. When the power to make is in our hands, what comes next is ours to choose.
I told myself I will never be homeless again. Today, I make $3,000 a month running my own business. Now I make sales every day, but the real reward, when I go to pack it up to ship it, or I go to hand it in and seeing the face on the person that receives it, is knowing that I helped build a day that they will remember forever.
In 2021, I had a massive stroke in my brainstem, and just like that, nursing was over for me. Now I run a 6-figure business right out of my garage. Of course, we love the success from the business, but really and truthfully, it's the pride in making the items.
I used to battle with severe depression. Things got incredibly dark for me. But then a little laser trigger pretty much changed everything. The day I'll always remember was last Halloween. I ordered about 700 whistles online, took the F2 out, and the kids came by and they got to pick what color that they want. They give me their name, they get to hit the button, start it. Over 450 kids came through. All you could hear is whistles all night. When someone lights up, oh my God, look at this. It makes me smile, it makes me happy. That's worth more than any amount of money to me.
Success is not one path. What we make is ours to decide. We don't just make a living, we make a life.
And make a plus for yourself. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for making this story happen. And up next, I want to introduce someone special, Oyantika Shen. She's our first speaker. So she's the founder of Wildcat. I just got the name right. It's not Wild Cat, but it's Wildcat Studio. And she's an immunologist who previously worked in Stanford, postdoctoral researcher. And she brought a scientist habits and view from testing, observation, and iteration into the jewelry making. And when demand became larger than two hands could manage, technology helped her to scale up without losing the soul being a crafter and a maker. So please welcome Oyantika Sen.
Thank you so much, Janet. Thank you, San, for the lovely introduction. Let me take you back in time. It was about 15 years ago, to a fall afternoon when a mother and her two daughters walked into a cute, cozy coffee shop. They ordered their favorite beverages with some freshly baked muffins, sat down to enjoy it. They looked around and they asked each other, what if we could own a coffee shop like this someday? It was a very nice dream that they had. They talked about it, they fancied the decor, the what would be on the menu. And one of the daughters chimed in and said, "Hey, what if I have my own jewelry boutique right next to the coffee shop? Imagine people will walk into the coffee shop, browse, order their favorite beverage, browse through these handcrafted products, and take something home that they love." It was a fabulous idea. It was just like a fairy tale. But the problem was they didn't know how to make it a reality. They had no business background. They have never seen anyone in their family run a business. And they had no idea how and where to get started. The girl who came up with the idea of the jewelry boutique next to the coffee shop was me. And this is where my journey as a creator started. For 15 years, I held on to that dream close to my heart, hoping that one day I would be able to make it a reality. And with no business background, it seemed a far-fetched dream. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ayantika Sen. I'm the founder of Wildcat Studios. And before Wildcat Studios happened, I used to work as an immunologist. I was a postdoctoral researcher at Stanford. And during my time at Stanford, I was very fortunate to be able to undergo an entrepreneurship program that opened my eyes about how to look at starting a business. Um, like I said, I came from a background where we had no business acumen or we had no exposure to how to start a business. So this program actually told me that, hey, you do not need a business background or a business degree to start something of your own. All you need is a structure and the right amount of support from the community, which I had. And when I was wrapping up my postdoc and transitioning into a new position, looking for a job, I thought, why not give some more room to my dream to grow at this time? This is probably the right time to think about the jewelry business and get started with something that I knew how to do well at that time. It was polymer clay. I started as a polymer clay artist. I used to make handmade jewelry, and I had a very little collection when I started. So I used to take those to markets, and every sale that I made, it just made me realize that I'm a step closer to the point where that 15-year-old dream was starting to become a reality. And I was very happy with my progress, with how things were moving forward. And then one day I decided to sign up for this 3-day market that takes place every year in the Bay Area. It's a very good exposure. A lot of people try to get in, and obviously the booth fees were also considerably high. And as I mentioned, I was still transitioning, so money was a little tight at the time, and it was a gamble for me. I was like, should I do this market? It's a lot of money. What if I don't make the sales? If I don't have enough products? So after a lot of, arguing back and forth with myself, I realized, okay, let's just go for it. Worst case, I'll have another, credit card balance for this booth. What else? We'll try to figure it out. But anyway, I'm glad I did that because this market changed the direction my business would move forward 2 months, literally 2 months from the day the market finished. And I'll tell you exactly how. So I went for this market. It was very successful. And on the third day, I had a real estate agent come up to my booth and ask if I was willing to take up an order to make some personalized products. It was a bulk order. So these were things that he would want to hand out to his clients after closing a deal with them. I was so excited. And those of you who have started a business, who own a business, I'm sure we all started small at some point. You know what it means. Like when you get a bulk order for the first time, it means, to me, it meant that my business was no longer a hobby project or something that I started out of a hobby or a side hustle. It was starting to be a reality. It meant a more serious thing, right? So I went back home, I did all the math, and I realized that with the amount of equipments I have, because I was just a polymer clay artist at that time, I didn't expand into any other material. There was no way I could deliver these products in the same amount of time to this client, forget about fitting everything into his budget. I was so disappointed. I had to let it go. I had to say no to a client, which is worse than not having customers in your booth. Trust me, because you have the customer and you can't take out. So a month passed by, and literally 1 month after this incident was our anniversary. And my husband, who has been my greatest supporter and my greatest pillar through this journey, he gave me an xTool M1 Ultra for my anniversary. And when I got it, I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, why are you giving me this? And I was very, very hesitant to use it. Sorry, xTool, I'm no longer that way, but initially I really was. And the reason is because I always wanted my business to be a more handmade, handcrafted business. And when this machine comes into our house, I'm like, I do not want to be known as the machine made business or the print house, so why am I getting this? And then he asked me a very important question. He was like, when you drill or when you smoothen your clay jewelry with your drill bit, does it feel like it's not handmade anymore? You're just enhancing your product, right, to make it look better. So that's all machines do. And that one question broke my hesitation. And I was like, yeah, it's just going to make me more productive and be able to serve a lot more people. And trust me, I know a lot of people who look like that at any kind of machine, be it laser printers or 3D printers. And these days, I actually go and tell them that you have no idea how much creativity still goes into it. The machine just empowers you. So I was able to now go back to this client and tell him that, hey, I have this product catalog now. Would you be willing to, continue our previous conversation? And would you be interested in placing an order? And he did. So that was my first big win as a small business owner, which was not possible before I got the M1 Ultra in my life. So that was the one big lesson that I learned, that when it's time to expand or to move directions, try to recognize that and accept it. It's not always necessary how we start is how we are going to end. Things can change directions. My second turning point came when and sorry, I think I moved ahead in the slides. Yeah, that's where I should be now. So my second turning point came when I went to these markets. I often noticed that men who would come to these markets with their partners I found about, I guess, 80% of them would be so bored, just looking around, waiting for their partners to finish shopping because they had nothing for them in those markets. I looked around in my booth, in my neighbors' booths, and I realized that yes, if it's a jewelry booth, it's for women. If it's candles, it's again mostly women. And I've had men come up to my booth during the initial days when I was making candles and, hey, do you have something that's more woody, spicy, leather? And I was like, oh no, I have everything more floral and more fruity. And I noticed that was the trend in most markets and with other candle makers too. And again, if it's home decor, again, it's women who are just interested. So, and then in one of the markets, I just happened to take some wooden and slate coasters as part of the home decor product line. And they were laser engraved. So that's when I saw a lot of men come into my booth, pick them up, ask questions about them, like how did you make it? How do you use the laser machine? And then I realized that this was a section of customers who were always there, but nobody had looked at them. Nobody wanted to bring anything that they would be interested in. So my husband and I, we decided to launch another line of products, which was men's accessories. We started bringing in metal pendants. You do find them a lot on Etsy. I do not disagree on that, but they're not that common in markets. And I actually did a survey to see how many men knew that they could find it on Etsy. Very few. And if you look at the number of women who go on Etsy, they're huge. So I decided to bring these products to vendor markets. I started with metal engraved pendants, which men could personalize, and slowly grew into wallets. And then we were like, hey, why don't we start engraving live at these vendor markets where men could just have their name engraved? And of course, with my existing product line, even women could personalize their products. And just around that time, we happened to attend an event by xTool. I think it was called the Maker Fair at Mountain View. And we won a raffle there. Very lucky, I agree. It was very fortunate that we won that. And the prize money allowed us to buy our next F-Tool machine, which was the F2. It's a portable machine, as most of you know, so that helped us to now take that machine to these markets and also host live engraving stations. And now my business expanded exponentially. Like, it was not just product lines that I was expanding on, but it was also the kind of services that I could provide live at markets, vendor markets. So now Wildcat Studios has grown from polymer clay to products ranging, I use materials ranging from wood, acrylic, resin, metal, beads, everything, a wide variety, wide range of materials. And not just that, we started as a very in-person small business, and now I'm looking forward to expanding my business online. And all of this would not have been possible if, number one, I had been stringent and not used technology in my life, which I'm glad I did. And number two, I'm glad there exists a company that listens to what people need and tries to deliver according to that. So I'm really grateful for xTool for doing this, for giving me this opportunity, this stage. And I can definitely, my business has grown immensely with the power of technology. Thank you so much, everyone. And thanks for listening.
All right, thank you, Antika. And I think, you haven't finished your slides. I'm gonna help you. But I think, what Antika's story, told us the technology doesn't have to kill the craft part of the making, right? It protect it and make it more room for crafting. I think that's a key of the messages. And also the men's product line also remind us, always pay attention to who doesn't stop at your booth, who's not purchasing. who's not shopping. Maybe that's where the next opportunity is going to be. So from science-led experiment to, we are moving next to business build around customer needs and relationship. And our next speaker is Eric Street, founder of Laser Craft Works and a former bedside nurse. During recovery from the stroke in the COVID period, Eric began using an xTool P2 as a creative and a cognitive outlet when started something personal, grew into a garage-based micro factory, generating more than $200,000 a year. Wow. And his story is not really about buying a machine. It's about listening to a very specific customer, solving a real problem, using every piece of material intelligently, and building that kind of relationship that create repeat revenue. Please welcome Eric Street.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Street, and I'm going to read off a script because I have bad memory. If you would have told me a few years ago that I would be standing at a laser event talking about being an entrepreneur, I probably would have thought you had the wrong Eric. I didn't have a business degree. I grew up dreaming about becoming a nurse. That's all I wanted to do, and I did that. I went to nursing school, I graduated, and I went to work at the bedside. And I love nursing. I still love nursing. When COVID happened, during the height of it, I suffered a pretty significant stroke in my brainstem. And just like that, bedside nursing was no longer something I could do. So I suddenly had something that I wasn't used to having, and that was free time. And if you know nurses, you know that when we have something happen to us, we research the absolute hell out of it. I started reading about recovery. I started reading that hobbies and keeping your brain active and finding something productive to do with your time could help you recover from a stroke. I always enjoyed making things, so eventually I found my way into lasers. I bought an xTool P2. And I wish I could tell you that when I bought that machine, I knew exactly what I was doing, but I had no idea. I didn't buy it because I discovered some incredible untapped market. I bought it because it looked fun. That's really where Laser Craft Works started. And that's probably the first thing that I want people to hear today. You don't have to know exactly where you're going to start. Sometimes you just have to do it. One of the first things I began making was badge buddies for other nurses. That made sense to me because I knew that world. I knew nurses, I understood what they liked, I understood the humor, I understood the milestones, I understood the difference between making something that says RN and making something that a nurse would actually want to wear. At first, I was just making friends, and then people started asking, can I buy one? And that's when a hobby slowly started to become a business. And there's an important lesson in that. A UV printer does not create a business. A laser does not create a business. A 3D printer does not create a business. Customers create your business. And I think that's really easy to forget in the maker world because we love our machines. We've seen it here today. We're all so excited. A new machine comes out and we immediately in our brains start going, okay, what can I make with this? I do it too. But the better question is, what does my customer already want? And what can this machine help me make it better, faster, or more profitably? And that's a completely different way of looking at your equipment. My business grew because I kept listening. People buying badge buddies started asking about other products. And then people started asking if I made shirts. And at first I was outsourcing that work. Eventually there was enough demand for that bringing production in-house made sense, so I invested in an apparel printer. Customers kept asking me, do you have a website? Well, no, I don't. So I figured out how to build a website. My wife started an Etsy store. We just kept following these breadcrumbs whenever we saw them. And that's been my entire business strategy. I'm not sitting at home trying to predict what the market is going to want in 3 years from now. I'm paying attention to what people are asking me for today. And that's one of the most practical pieces of advice I can give anybody trying to start a business. Listen to your customers. They will very often tell you what your next product should be. They'll tell you where your process is frustrating. They'll tell you what you're missing. Sometimes they will practically design your next product line for you. You just have to listen. Sometimes I think that the things that helped me, and one of them that helped me tremendously was starting in the market that I actually understood. I didn't start looking and trying to ask what was trending on Etsy, what was trending on, all these other websites. I started with nurses because I was a nurse. That gave me an advantage. And everybody in this room has something like that. Maybe you're a teacher, or maybe you're into cars. Maybe your kids play travel baseball. Maybe you're involved with the church. Maybe you own a construction company. Maybe you're the person who's obsessed with Christmas decorations in September. Whatever it is, you understand a group of people better than anybody else, better than the average seller does. Start there. Because one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is trying to sell to everybody. If your ideal customer is anyone who likes cool stuff, you probably don't know your customer base yet. Find your people first, and then make things for them. Another big lesson for me has been learning that revenue isn't always created by selling more. Sometimes it's created by wasting less. Here's a perfect example of that. A sheet of acrylic might cost me around $20. After cutting my Badge Buddies out of it, which is my main product, I would have some left over, but it wasn't enough to cut a Badge Buddy out of. Originally, that just went in the scrap pile or went into the trash. And then I started looking at my scrap pile differently. I designed a stethoscope tag that fit in those leftover spaces. And now I'm making a product out of material that I've already paid for that was gonna be scrap. One stethoscope tag pays for the entire sheet of acrylic, and I can fit a bunch in that blank space. That's when you start thinking like a manufacturer instead of just a maker. And I know manufacturer sounds ridiculous when you're standing in your garage wearing sweatpants. I feel the same way, but that's exactly what we're doing. Some of us are running tiny factories out of spare bedrooms, basements, and garages. And once you realize that, you start asking different questions. How many products can I get out of this sheet? How long does this job actually take? Can I jig it? Can I batch it? Can I automate a portion of it? Can I make something useful out of the material that I'm throwing away? Can I shorten this process by 5 minutes? Those little improvements don't sound that exciting, but when you're making hundreds or thousands of products, they become real money. And the same thing applies to marketing. When I started, I didn't know anything about SEO. Metadata sounded like something my computer science friends talked about at school. And then I started learning how Etsy worked, how titles worked, how tags worked, how product descriptions worked, how photos affected listings. And suddenly, people who had no idea I existed were finding my products. Our first year was really just a hobby. We made $4,000 or $5,000, and I was ecstatic. I thought that was amazing. And then everything just started clicking. We improved the listing. We learned what advertising actually makes sense and when word of mouth was gonna do better. We leaned harder into seasons like Nurses Weeks, Teachers Week, Christmas, and the business grew to well over 6 figures that year. But I think one of the biggest reasons it worked is because I never wanted Laser Craftworks to be about just transactions. I've always cared more about the relationships than anything else. And ironically, that probably helped me create more sales than anything else. Some of my favorite customers started buying from us when they were nursing students. And then months later, I'd get another order, I graduated. And then another month, I'd get another message, I passed my NCLEX, which is your national boards for nursing. And then the big one, I got my first RN job. That transition from student to RN on the badge meant so much to me. And I get emotional just thinking about it because I took that journey myself. And those are the badges that I'm most proud of making because those customers started with me. And I got to watch somebody move through their entire career because they keep coming back to my little business that nobody had any idea existed last year. You cannot build that kind of loyalty by obsessing over extracting every possible dollar out of your customers. You build it by actually caring about them. People remember how you treated them. They remember when you fixed something. They remembered when you answered the message at midnight. They remember when you did something you didn't necessarily have to do. And they tell other people. Most of my opportunities that I've had in my business comes from relationships, referrals, or somebody saying my name when I wasn't in the room. You can't buy that on Facebook ads. You can't do it with any sort of ads. There is always a downside to everything though. You're gonna mess things up. You're gonna ruin materials. You're gonna price something incorrectly. You're gonna make something that you are absolutely convinced everybody's gonna buy, and nobody is gonna buy it. And the random project you made in 15 minutes will somehow become your best seller. Welcome to small businesses. I bought things that I didn't need. I underestimated jobs and I spent hours solving problems that probably had a 5-minute solution. But every one of those mistakes taught me something. And here is why my biggest piece of advice for the night to somebody sitting here thinking about starting a small business: stop researching eventually. Research is an amazing thing. I'm a nurse. I love research. But research can also become procrastination with a respectable name. You can watch 400 YouTube videos about running a laser business and still have 0 customers. At some point, you have to make something. You have to put it online, you have to show it to somebody, and you have to ask them to buy it. And you just have to see what happens. Your first project doesn't have to be perfect. Your logo doesn't have to be perfect. Your website does not have to be perfect. Your photography doesn't look like Spielberg shot it. It doesn't have to be amazing. You just need to get started. Because the version of your business that you imagine today is very unlikely to be the business you eventually build anyways. Mine certainly was not. I started because I was bored after a stroke and I needed a hobby. I made some badge buddies for friends and they told other people. Those people started asking for other things and I bought more equipment. I learned new processes, I made mistakes, and I figured out what worked. And one small decision kept leading to another one. And that's how my hobby became a business. And that's really what I want to leave you all with today. Don't look at somebody else's business and assume they know something that you don't. Almost all of us are figuring it out as we go. You don't need 20 machines, you don't need 50 projects, you don't need a giant building, and you don't need a perfect business plan. You need one product that solves a problem or makes somebody happy. You need one customer willing to pay you for it. And then you take care of that customer. You learn from that customer and you learn from that sale. You make the product a little bit better, you make the process a little bit faster, and you keep some of the money. You reinvest some of the money, and then you do it again, and again, and again. Eventually you look around and realize that hobby taking up a corner of your house is turning into a full-fledged business. And in my case, somehow a little home workshop turns into a 6-figure micro factory. I definitely didn't plan all that when I first bought my laser. I just started. You don't have to have the whole thing figured out. You just have to be willing to make the first thing, find the first customer, start learning. The rest gets built from there. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Eric. Oops, Devin, you're up next. So I think Eric's message is simple but difficult. You have to, understand the machine doesn't bring customers, doesn't create business, but customer do. And one useful product, one customer needs, and one relationship can be enough to begin. And if Eric's story is about starting before everything is perfect, our next story is about what happens when demand starts moving faster than you expected. Our next speaker is Devin Askin, founder of 2750 and a former deputy sheriff. During a period of recovery, he mastered an xTool D1, began taking orders from fellow officers and friends. And eventually, he built a business that out-earned his salary. And his growth came from a combination that every small business owner will recognize. One repeatable flagship product, disciplined production, proactive pitching, reliable delivery, and reinvesting only when real demand justifies the next step. Please welcome Devin Askin.
Yes, sir. So man, I feel very unqualified to be up here, especially after that. So I forgive you guys in advance. Number one, I just want to say God has been so good to me. I want to thank my wife. She has just been a true backbone to my life and just so much that has happened. Somebody else I really, really want to thank too is Jacob Romero. The only reason why I'm here and involved in xTool is because somebody saw something in me. Stein, Rennie, Miss Yancey, Francis, Alice, so many good people within this community. And if you are in the laser community, you know we're helpful with each other. We really are a family. And that's just one thing I wanted to emphasize, is just how blessed I am to be here. So basically, starting out, I was a deputy sheriff in Florida. I bought a xTool D1, and I mastered that thing. I bought it as a hobby. I had no intentions to make money. However, money came because people started seeing cool things that I was making, and cops like to see their ID numbers and their insignia and stuff on different items. So I started to make just different things. People started asking me for more things. A little bit of a fast forward would be June 20th of 2023. I got rear-ended by a drunk driver while I was working. I got flown to the hospital in a helicopter, and I was out of work for about 2.5 months. During that time on sick leave, I really started to focus in on the lasering and the business aspect. Well, I started to make more money than I was as a cop, just doing a side hustle. From there, I started to progress about the F1, so on and so on. I have almost all of the machines now. But through that, some of the things that Eric touched on was just marketing yourself. One of the biggest things that I did was just start marketing on Facebook and Instagram. A lot of people have websites, and there's nothing wrong with websites. However, most people go on Facebook and Instagram every single day. So I learned that that was my best place to market. I started to get a lot of local work, word of mouth things, and I started to truly just build a passion for the laser and the different things that I could make. So it really went from a business, from a hobby to a business. Well, I got cleared to go back to work. I went back to work, and through that, I realized that I didn't really want to be a cop anymore. So I took a leap of faith. I prayed about it. I talked to God about it. And through that, I decided to resign at the very beginning of January of 2024. At that time, I then built a plywood box in the garage. It was an 8-foot by 8-foot box that I put a window shaker in because it's really hot in Florida. So through that, I started just hustling, marketing, posting things all the time. It even got down to where I would have to make free items for people just to get people to acknowledge me. One of the biggest and best things that I ever did was when I made somebody something, I said, hey, can you just take a second for me and write me a review? I now have, I believe, 272 5-star reviews on my Facebook page. That is one thing that I highly encourage anybody. If you're doing work for people, take an extra second to say, hey, I'm a local business. Do you mind just writing me a review? My reviews have helped me so much because the first thing people do when they go to your business page is they look at your reviews. If your reviews are good, they have a sense of trust. So basically through that, I started making a lot of money. To be honest with you, I'm a high school dropout. I didn't graduate from Stanford. I'm not a nurse. I went to get my GED to even go to the police academy. So I'm nothing special. I've learned to value my money, but if it's one thing that business has taught me, is that sky is the limit. The more that I marketed, the more that I got into it, the more revenue that I was making. This slide is actually a little bit old. It's basically showing you guys that I've made $12,000 off of one order. Right before this event, I had a 900 hat order that was a $15,000 order. And luckily I got it done before I came to the event. So I'm not here to tell you so much about money. I'm here to tell you that I'm not a used car salesman. I have nothing to lie to you about. xTool has changed my life. It has truly changed my life. The only reason why I'm here on this stage looking at you, I'm not a speaker. I don't talk to people. I don't even have a script. I'm just here to tell you the truth about my life. xTool has changed it. If it wasn't for xTool, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been able to quit a full-time job, fully funding my life. And I'm so blessed to be a part of this event, the whole xTool community. I don't know if you guys own xTools, but I've learned that the Facebook groups on xTool are so helpful. If you have a question, you can just ask a Facebook group, and next thing you know, you have an answer. It truly is a family. Is this the... Okay, so these are basically some of the hats that I've done. I do a lot of law enforcement hats. I do hats for all across the nation. One of my big sellers is baseball hats. I've learned very easily, people don't really care about your logo. The name of my business is 2750. There's not a lot of people that will buy a 2750 hat, but what people do buy is their logo, and that's what I capitalized on. Hey, I'll make your logo on a hat. And now I sell anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 hats a month. It's one of my biggest sellers. I do a lot of other things with the lasers as well, but that's where I've learned to really make a lot of money on is hats. So again, I'm so thankful for xTool. They've been good to me, and I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to see what's to come. A lot has happened in a short amount of time. I've now, this January will be 3 years full time that I've been separated from the sheriff's office, and I've almost quadrupled my salary at the sheriff's office. So if you plan on running a business, just go for it. Just go for it. Take a chance. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. You guys have a good day.
Thank you, Deborah. All right, so Deborah's story, I think, proved that master one product, master process, and deliver what she promised. That's the key of growing a small business from a side hustle. And I think the 3 stories that we saw today that share one pattern. Basically, a real need will create that repeatable system and a courage to start and move quick before the path is completely obvious. And those 3 stories really touch our heart, and I think next we will get into more practical, into a business high growth margin playbook. And our panel is called Empowering Modern Makers, Tools, Monetization, and the Possibilities. We'll talk about how makers choose the right opportunity, protect margin, build repeat business, and decide whether the next tool or the next level of scale is truly justified. And moderating the conversation is Vincent, editor-in-chief and co-founder of the Gadgeteer. Joining Vincent are Myra, creator of and founder of the Crafting by Myra, Matthew, creator and founder of Cornelius Creations, Catherine, the founder of Primary Market Laser Partners, and Emily, founder of the Mom with the Laser. Please welcome all of them to the stage. All right, Vincent, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Vincent Nguyen. Welcome to the xTool SMB Summit. This is the Empowering Modern Makers discussion panel. Today, we're diving deep into the real stories, the strategies, and the practical lessons of transforming creativity into sustainable, thriving businesses. Whether you're running a business solo, scaling up your workshop, or exploring new revenue streams, you're in the right place. We have an incredible lineup of makers, entrepreneurs with us today. Let's go around and do a quick intro. Myra, we'll start with you.
Sure. My name is Mayra Aguilar. I am a Houston native, and I am a former teacher turned small business owner, content creator now. A lot of what I do now is teach others how to use machines, how to monetize their products. And beyond that now, I also sell digital files and have found a way to monetize my knowledge and teach the product, sell the file to the product, sell the tutorial to the product. So that's a lot of what I do now.
Matt.
My name is Matthew Cornelius. I have a YouTube channel called Cornelius Creations. I started working for myself about 11 years ago with custom artwork and wood carving, which, by the way, a lot of my wood carving friends got mad at me when I switched to laser engraving. They said I was cheating, but I've been working for myself for about 11 years. I am a photographer at a local print magazine, and I have a videography business on the side, and I'm a full-time YouTuber, and I met with xTool and become an accidental laser business. So, yeah. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Catherine Ewers. I run Primary Market. We started our business back in 2020. I'm going to be talking tomorrow on packaging and presentation because that's something that I love. I am a high school and collegiate science teacher. Science is my passion. I just spoke at the Maker Flow booth about going from part-time running a business to full-time. So I'm proud to say this school year, I'm no longer working as a full-time teacher. I'm home by 10 a.m. and I start my full-time entrepreneurship business.
Hi, everybody. My name is Emily. I own That Mom with a Laser Inc., and I do several things similar to Maida. I specialize in helping people learn complicated equipment from things like lasers and UV printers. I also have a small gift shop where I sell my own physical products, and I have a file club where I share the files as well. I also run Laser Maker Con, which is an amazing virtual conference. I do that once a year. And, like many makers, I wear many hats.
Thank you all for the intro. As you can see, modern making is evolving at a lightning speed. It's no longer just about cutting a piece of wood or engraving a keychain. It's about building scalable product lines and tapping into massive market demand. So let's jump into our first question. What massive business opportunities do you see in laser technology, and how can it combine with UV printing? And what are the most popular and highest margin product categories? Myra, let's start with you.
I think for me specifically, it's different for everyone, but I used my teacher background in the classroom to make my own teacher merch and then sporting it. And then other colleagues would be like, well, I want that, or I want you to make me that. And started with an Etsy shop and then eventually have now my own website. But for me, personalization is huge. People will pay to gift something to someone, to buy something for themselves. A spouse will gift it to their spouse. That is memorable and special. And so for me, it's personalization. As far as it with UV printing, what I've been able to do now that's been a time saver is not use so much sublimation with my MDF acrylic or white acrylic, which if you didn't know, you could sublimate white acrylic. And that's how I've been using UV printing with laser products while personalizing them. Is it saved me so much time in just sticking it under the UV printer. It prints it for me. I don't have to print the actual sublimation on sublimation paper, making sure I have sublimation ink, and then waiting for the ink to dry, and then turning on the heat press, and then waiting for the heat press to reach the temperature. Now I just stick it in the printer. So that's kind of where I am now, and I've found a lot of success in UV printing and personalized, especially or mostly teacher products, among other things, but that's where I am, the personalization.
Awesome. Well, that is a great reply. Well, I will just be vulnerable with you guys. I haven't started a massive UV printing empire yet, but there are just so many opportunities right now between, laser, you guys seen in the OmniPrint videos, people cutting acrylic with a P3 and switching over to the Omni things. And what has worked for me, guys, I can only give you my experience. I don't want to get up here and pretend I know something I don't, right? But what has happened for me is by posting my work online, and I know this is a little bit away from the question, so forgive me, posting the work online and letting people see that. And then the orders I've got that I've made money with the Omni, I think the other day I made a little over $300 from the Omni by working with a church, reached out to me because they saw one of my print videos online and said, can you make this for us? And all I did is print a simple, little logo. That's all it was on the picture frame. So with all that being said, I think there's incredible opportunity with UV printing. And for me and my experience, it has been showing up online and letting people have their own ideas. And the other day, I did some UV printing on some journals for people. And I got another order, right? So it's just, for me, it's been showing online. It's never, for me, been about one specific amazing product that sells, right? So for me, it's just been showing up and letting people, hey, can you do this? And then they've been placing a lot of orders. So I hope that answers a question.
You bet. Emily?
Hi.
You're up.
You know, several years ago, it wasn't so easy to get your hands on the kind of equipment that we get our hands on now, right? And honestly, it's thanks to companies like xTool that are making that barrier of entry something that many of us can enter into, right? And what's happening is more people can access the technology, which is good, but it also brings in more competition, right? So while we're now able to get our hands on this kind of equipment, I really feel like the main opportunity, my friends, lies within us as entrepreneurs. Because now, how do you differentiate yourself, right? And this is where your skill, your education, your branding, all of those things are going to come into play, right? And it's events like this that are going to help you up your game in those areas so that you can be more competitive. And that, I don't know if you guys have ever heard that saying where it's, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. You guys want this. You made the sacrifice to be here so that you could be in the same kind of a room with a person like Eric and Devrin, who, what did he say? He just closed a deal with, a $12,000 deal. So the opportunity is incredible thanks to companies like xTool making the technology accessible. But at the end of the day, it's really down to you and your desire and your grit to be a better maker and entrepreneur.
I absolutely love that takeaway. Become the person people think of when they need something customized. Now, when you're fulfilling orders by hand, there's a hard ceiling. You only have 24 hours in the day. That brings us to another powerful aspect of modern day creator economy, building leverage. Without relying strictly on hands-on crafting, how can maker generate income through digital files, training, or content creation? Emily, how about we start with you again?
Sure. So when I first got started, I was a stay-at-home mom with 3 small children ages 6 months, 2 years old, and 4 years old. And like Eric, the laser changed my life. I just wanted a way to help supplement our income. And next thing I knew, I was making money, real money that could help our family. And when I entered the world of lasers and making, I found that there was a huge need for education and support. And for whatever reason, God gave me a gift to be able to teach things in a way that made people feel like they could understand. Because a lot of the equipment we use is complicated and it can feel intimidating, right? So I just kind of fell into that where I wanted to teach people. And I started to learn, wow, the better I get at this, the more knowledge I have, the more I can serve others, but also build supplemental income, right, with the knowledge that I'm acquiring. So I've kind of become obsessed with learning all the things because that makes me a better maker. It also makes me wiser, and then it also allows me to help other people. So that ended up leading to my first course in teaching people how to use CO2 lasers. And then it led into my file club because now I create the files, right? I sell the files myself. I sell the products myself. And then, people who are also in my club, like my new little voice box ornament. Have you guys seen it? It's really good. That's something that I share with other makers so that they too can make a pretty penny off of a good idea.
Myra, let's come back to you.
What was the question again?
You're gonna make me look this up, aren't you?
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, guys.
Sorry about that, guys.
ADHD, a little bit of autism, so.
What's that?
Said ADHD.
So the question is, there's a ceiling on
The physical
the
products.
time, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Thank you. That's all I needed. Yeah.
Products.
Okay. So similar to Emily, actually, so my first xTool product was actually the black M1. That's no longer sold, but I pushed that thing. I think I broke it because people were like, well, you can't cut pretty acrylic. And I remember walking into Houston Acrylic and they were like, you can't cut this with that laser. And I was like, watch me. You can't. You actually can't. So I just had to try it myself though, because eldest daughter syndrome. So I'll figure it out. Never did figure it out, but I did use wood to create very unique products. I also play a lot with glitter. So what I brought to the laser community that was different was using, whether it was wood or acrylic, glitter, UV resin, and so people see it and they're like sparkly. That's when I realized getting a lot of orders made me really happy, but I'm one person. I also have a hard time letting go and I want to control everything. So one person doing everything, my mom can only label things because I don't trust her to do anything else. My dad and I butt heads because we're the same person, just in different bodies. So I had to find a way. I can't do this forever. I know that being on my feet all day, and I'm proud of what I do, and I love people from different countries and different states buying my stuff. You know, it's still surreal to think about that someone who doesn't know you buys something from you and it goes to their home or they take it as a gift to someone. I needed to find a way to make income that wasn't so physically tiring. Because I was working 12, 14 hours, and although my product margins were nice, it's still not enough and I couldn't really keep up. That's when I started to tap into reading the comments online. Can you teach us how to make this? Do you sell the file for this? And I was making my own files and I was using Silhouette Studio because I didn't know Adobe. So I was finding ways to share my files and share my knowledge with a community of people who wanted to learn from me. So it just started like that. I put a group out there. Do you want to join at this price? And this is what you can expect from the group. And then now I'm not just selling the physical product, but I'm also able to I didn't have so much pressure of, okay, well, how much do I want to make this month? This is how much I need to sell. I kind of was able to take a step back, and my digital products can do some. Affiliate marketing, I tapped into that. Working with brands, I tapped into that. And so tapping into those different avenues kind of took that pressure off of just physical products for me.
Hey, Matt, you've also created courses, templates, and video content. What's your take on turning know-how into incomes?
Well, the good news about it, if you're already running a laser business, chances are that you have knowledge other people need. And knowledge can make money more than once. And we're getting a whole different topic of actual passive income now, because you've made active income and you can make some really dang good income, right? Doing this. But once you start monetizing your knowledge, it becomes like it's a whole different ballgame then. And so I'll be honest with you guys, I feel somewhat like a hypocrite being up here because I like to focus more on content creation. I'll take a few orders a month. So it's like, well, you know, there's a lot of other heavy hitters in the room right now that is, you know, doing physical products, but you're still constrained by time, right? And I do want to address something. A lot of people say, well, I can't do that. I can't get on camera. Like, I mean, we're up here. People say, well, they're extroverted. You know, they can talk on camera. I can't. That's not true. There are a ton of introverted people that are content creators, and especially with digital files. I've only done a few digital files, you know, compared to these guys. They've taken off and done all kinds of digital stuff. My main thing is content creation, and you can most definitely do it. And I would say to you guys to pass over the I'm working for my money to I'm going to make my money work for me, right? And it's available to anyone in this room. I'm not trying to sell you just a blind room up here like I'm living this. And don't get me wrong, it can be hard. I'm not going to sell you this dream like it's all easy. But I do want to tell you guys that if you are already doing it, you have something that someone already needs. And let me say one more thing, and I'll pass it back to you, Vincent. I can be long-winded. But when I coach people, I tell them this, because I do some consulting on the side. You may say, well, you know, I'm not like, you know, I'm not like Lily. I'm not like Matt. I'm not like these other people out here. But I will tell you this, the way you articulate and communicate with people, you have a specific, if you just go with me here, a flavor of Kool-Aid. She may have grape Kool-Aid that she gives people. I have strawberry. She has orange, like everybody, we may be covering, we have the same videos out there, but people watch our videos and go back and forth. Just because someone's doing it doesn't mean that you can't. So I'm going to ask everyone in here to stop comparing yourselves to other people. You have something that someone else's need. If you show up, I don't care how old you are, how young you are, you got to put yourself out there just a little bit, and I promise you, it is totally worth it with the relationships that you build. The last thing I'll say, can I? Yeah, he's pointing. He's like, hey, shut it down, Matt. No, yeah. I would say this: if you're just strictly in it for the money, don't. The money can be nice. I built a living around it. I've had some hard times. I hit rock bottom, guys. If you just knew the stories, you know, behind all of us up here. But I would say this to you, that it's about people. It's about serving them. You are enriching their lives, and in turn, they're enriching yours. Like there's a transaction, right? You know, they give you money, you make them something, and they're happy. So I just want to encourage everybody with that, whether you feel capable or not. You're in this room, you paid money to get in here. Guys, come on. You've already paid money, and then this content creation is going to be a little bit too hard for you, but you're already here. You're showing up. You're probably more dedicated than some of us are up here, to be honest with you. So anyway, I just want to encourage you guys, you got this. So
Thanks, man. I love your passion. Catherine, how about you?
Well, I will tell you this, from years and years ago, my husband's always said, he's in the back with our little girl Jay. A lot of people know Jay more than they know me. But he's always said, you have to make money when you sleep. And I always thought, like, what does that mean? But just like, I don't want to reiterate everything that everybody's already said, but we all have a particular skill. And you have to really capitalize on that skill. I think that my skill is packaging. So if you know anything about me, sometimes I think I'm Pottery Barn, and sometimes I think I'm Crate and Barrel, sometimes I think I'm Gucci, But the fact of the matter is, I buy from those brands because they have brand identity. And I think that one of the things that I can really capture on and inspire people is with how to make your brand identity. Another thing, if you have a following, if you are helping other makers and whatnot, I always say, if you are sharing, so if I share, for instance, my 1.5-inch satin ribbon, here's where you can buy it. Here's where you can buy this box. Here's where you can buy this particular product. And I just show people, I'm a big proponent of MakerFlow. I just did the MakerFlow Lounge. But MakerFlow products make me big time money. And I just think that, when you have a platform, if you are educating others in our industry, then start making money off of what you are showing others that you can do. And I just think, like Jason always says, it's time to make money while we sleep.
Of course, to run any of these operations smoothly, you need the right tools backing you up. When you operate as a CEO of one or a lean team, downtime isn't just an annoyance, right? It's loss in revenue. When you're running a business mostly on your own, what do you actually look for in a machine or a production tool? And where has xTool made the biggest difference in your workflow? Why has xTool become the top choice for modern crafters? Myron.
I think one of the things that I care most about is my time. So being able to, if I run into an issue, can I get a hold of somebody? How quickly can I get that help? Also, they're established, and so they have a reputation because they're reliable. So for me, it's what I look for in a machine is, what can I get out of it? Can I do more than one thing with it? And that's sometimes up to us. Yes, it's a laser and most people cut acrylic and wood, but what can you make? What else can you make with it? What can you combine it with, whether that's UV printing or sublimation or anything of the sort. So for me, it's the thing I care most about is time. And so I look for that specifically is, can I get a hold of somebody if something happens or I need help? Is there a Facebook group I can go to if I don't get that help? But I can't say that I've ever really had an issue with any of my machines to the point where, I want to pull my hair out, because that community and that help is there.
Thank you. Matt, as someone who values simplicity and getting orders out the door, what's been your experience so far?
Well, I always say the best machine is the machine that will get you out of the way. I don't have a lot of time to tinker, right? So I like to get things done. And to be honest with you guys, I'm not the biggest, detailed person. I really don't love tinkering around. I don't like messing with stuff. I like for things to work. I'm a very, very simple person. Like if you come to me with a complex project, I usually pass it to somebody else. And if I wasn't doing content creation, I would probably take a little bit more time to do that. But I would say this, on the simplicity wise, xTool has done something amazing with xTool Studio. And the software, the hardware and the software, the cohesion there in the ecosystem, I can go to the M2, then I can go to the P3, then I can go to the F1 Ultra or the F2 Ultra, MOBA. And it's like all the same. I don't have to bounce back and forth machines, and it has gotten so great. And the engineering team at xTool has done such a good job. And you don't have to have a science degree to use it. You know, there are a lot of experienced laser engravers in here today that have a lot more engraving experience than I do. But I interface with a lot of people that are just getting into lasers, and the biggest thing they want to be able to do is to be able to turn it on and hit go. And that, even though that's so simple, that's what I look for as well, because I'm trying to get orders out the door. And so I guess to land the plane here, simplicity is one of the biggest things that I look for, because the older I get, is like, I want things to be simple, guys. I don't like complicated things. So even though you will have, you know, some complications, but xTool has done a great job with their ecosystem.
Emily?
So I feel a great responsibility when it comes to the kind of equipment that I share, because I got, like I said, I started in my spare bedroom, and I was not anticipating becoming a quote unquote influencer, right? But here I am, and I see many faces in the room. Tracy, hi. Carissa, hi, my friends. And I know that you guys value my opinion and my endorsement. I know it's important. So I'm very particular about when I, bring on a brand into that mom with a laser universe. And I'll be honest, with xTool, I was very cautious in the beginning, right? I always say time will either promote you or expose you, right? And in an industry where everybody wants to get in and all these companies want to get in and bring you the newest, shiniest tool, which one's really here to stay? Which one's really put together really well? And xTool is one that, boy, they are a force to be reckoned with. All right, and there's no denying now. I know that if I send somebody to get an xTool product, they are well taken care of, okay? Not only is the machine and the technology cutting edge, all right, but the whole world is well put together. I know that if I send somebody to get an xTool product, they've got all the support, they've got incredible software, they've got this beautiful ecosystem where they can bounce from a UV printer to an embroidery machine to a flying galvo, and you don't have to face that learning curve that comes with getting a new equipment, right? Because the software, it's just easy to kind of bounce around in. So I'm newer to the xTool family, but I'm very happy to be here.
So accessible software and reliable hardware truly level the playing field for the aspiring makers today who are ready to take their first step, obviously, if not, already in the business, launch their own small business. If you could give only one single golden piece of advice, what would that be? Myra, what's your golden rule?
Just one?
Just one. Just one. Gotta boil it down
I
to
know.
that one special.
I think if I have to choose one, it's to just start. I have learned I'm type B, actually. I thought I was type A for a long time, and then I realized how much of a procrastinator I was. So for me, it doesn't have to be perfect, and that's something that held me back for a really long time. It has to be perfect before it gets put out, whether that's the content, the tutorial, the video. So you can get better with time. I'll give a quick example. I'm now doing a lot of YouTube, and it has been so rewarding because I have tried YouTube for the past 5 years, and I could never stick to it. And this is the first year where I have consistently put out 3-4 videos every month since January, actually since November, because I was like, I don't need to wait for the new year to start. So I started, but I started with just a video, and then, okay, let's add captions to the video. Okay, next time let's add a little bit of background music, and then next time let's add an intro and an outro. So you can progressively get better, but I think that's why I was able to be propelled forward this year with YouTube is I just started, and that's my recommendation, is just start.
Thank you. Matt?
Well, I would say this is to learn your craft, but learn people. And if I were to boil that down, it would be this: learn to communicate with people. And I want to tell you guys something: being nice doesn't make you a good communicator. It just means you're nice. And my business really changed when I started putting in some effort, and a lot of it came through leadership books of learning and, personal growth and development, right? And when you're in this business, you need a little encouragement, and self-help is what does it, right? Reading self-development. And so one of the most impactful things I've ever done was take communication courses. And I'm not talking about a little cookie cutter course, hey, say this to get this. It's not 2 + 2 = 4. I mean, you're dealing with a soul, you're dealing with another human being, and learning how to interface with different people has been the #1 thing that I have ever done. And if I were to give you guys something, I mean, that sounds good, but if I were to give you something tangible here to go on to, and guys, I don't say this to be braggadocious. I paid thousands of dollars to learn this from a coach. And I want to see a show of hands in here if we can be a little interactive. Has anybody heard of the DISC profile personality assessment? Can I see some? Okay, gotcha. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I took that, and I think it's around, it has to be by Wiley, Wiley. I recommend everyone in this room take the DISC profile assessment. And I'm not saying, oh, this is it, so you're this. But it has helped me interface with so many people. It helped me to understand people. It's around $80, so it's a little bit of an investment. But if I were to tell you anything that made me the most money, I promise you guys, it empowered me, and it enabled me to get past the, let's go here, the nastiness of people. I mean, I'll go ahead and say, if you're in business, you're going to deal with some stuff that's not your fault, right? We don't like talking about it, but it happens. It has helped me so much. So I'll land the plane with that. Learn communication. Go out of your way as much as you learn your craft. Learn how to communicate with people.
That's right.
My advice is, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to do it. As we grow in our businesses, we do become more efficient, proficient. And if we look back on one of our first projects, we just had to start somewhere. I'll never forget our first project. My husband, before I even had a laser, my husband had a CNC machine. And he took a piece of pine wood and he made a cutting board. And we just thought it was the best looking cutting board ever. And we showed all our family and friends, and I posted it on Facebook, and it was picked up, and she's like, it's so beautiful. And it said the Smiths, and it looks so nice. And she's like, the Johnsons are just gonna love it. I was like, no. And I thought, okay, this is a learning moment. Smith, Johnson, all the same, right? But you have to start somewhere. And don't be perfect from the beginning, because you're not going to be. You have to start. You don't need 1,000 followers. You don't need 100 followers. You have to just put yourself out there and basically just learn from your mistakes, because you will grow and you will reflect on the Smith's board.
Emily?
Well, Catherine, I thought I had a good answer, but it's very much like what Catherine's talking about, and you're hearing a theme. I always say, do it messy. Do we have any perfectionists in the room? Do you ever overthink something so much that you get paralyzed and you have like analysis paralysis and then you don't even do it? That's where you have to tell yourself, do it messy. And just get it done, all right? Because even if you make the Smiths for the Johnsons, you will learn that lesson really quick and it won't happen as often again. So that's my piece of advice, just do it messy.
Mastering your tools, building real relationships, identifying real emotional value, and treating your knowledge as leverage. These are the building blocks of sustainable maker business. Let's give a huge round of applause to our panelists, Myra, Matt, Catherine, and Emily. Thank you all for joining the xTool SMB Summit panel, and can't wait to see what each of you build next. Enjoy your upcoming Mixer Party.
Thank you so much. And that was an amazing panel discussion. And for up next, please stay here for a moment because we are gonna bring something surprising. Because I promised you guys to entry of the lucky draws, 2 previews of products. We done that, and also panel discussion, 3 stories. So last one is the surprise. So as you guys been, listening and you guys been talking, our team been making something. And if you guys remember, when you uploaded an image of your logo when you enter for lucky draw, that's what we'll be making using a apparel printer and also the UV printer. So can you guys bring it up? The logo wall and a sea of one. And that's something I want to make a shout out to everybody. Behind every single logo is a real person, a real business, and figure things out. And we don't have, oh, thank you, Vince. We don't have a lot of time today to make every single logo here, but I will tell you this. We use the apparel printer and also DTG version of UV to print out the sheet and also use our little iron heat transfer. If you can put here, that's fine. Thank you. To heat transfer it. And I want to invite everyone to appreciate this, the story of makers. And I want to invite everybody to take a group photo with us all together, if you will. So how about we stand here? And I don't know if you guys can, if you can come here. So we'll do one here, and we'll flip it to a big group photo all together, all right? Yeah, let's do it. Okay, thank you. Could you do another thing for me to flip it? Yeah, so we can do another one from the, yeah. Just put it, yeah, this way. You go ahead. Yep, yeah, that's fine. What if we can do it? Just put it here, right here. Oh, okay, just right here. Okay. So we can take everyone, and could you guys stand up and maybe come a little bit closer? Yeah, and after this, we'll do the lucky draw, all right? So a little bit closer. And we'll also put more logos for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. All right, and if you guys also can stand out and just around the logo wall. Yeah. I don't think you guys can capture this. It might be a little bit tricky. If you can maybe stand up and, yeah. Yeah, so do it like that way. It's a little bit technical challenge. Thank you for doing this with me. From here. Hallelujah. Goodbye. If you get jealous, feel free to I don't know if you find it enough. I see you, Deborah. 1, 2, 3. Smile. The 3. Big smile. 1, 2, 3. Let's also do a video. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, don't leave the app. Oh, like video, like right now? Okay. Sorry. Yeah, it's swimming. Okay, we'll do wait. And just say next level. Excellent. Next level. Woo! Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Okay, thank you so much. But don't leave yet. So you guys see this page. I know you. Okay, hold it. So we're gonna do the lucky draw, and I want to invite you guys to click the star and draw. Okay?
Excuse me.
Let's do it. So I think for now, until this time, we will have almost 500 people.
Oh, wow.
Let's check. Okay. Let's see. All right, let me refresh it because that was Tracy. Okay, we'll start. So, Myra, would you do me a favor to do the start? Okay, there you go. Yeah, just click the star. Oh, okay. Wait. Oh, yeah, let's move it. Sorry, we didn't practice this. All right, just, can you guys see it? Yeah, it's not, just click again. Oops, what is that? Okay, who want to do the draw? We'll let it run a little bit. I think, yeah, we have, how many? Like over 400, I think. We'll let it run a little bit more. All right, oh, 439 people. Minus Tracy, because Tracy just won. So 439, okay. We'll give it a run a little bit so we can actually run to every single name. And that's like 10 people, 10 names per second. So keep running. And I want to invite you guys to join. And you can stop any time.
You want me to click?
Yeah.
Okay.
3, oh, you did it? All right. Okay, Elizabeth, watch out. Are you here? Elizabeth. Are you here, Elizabeth? Oh, you're here, nice. Come along. We have the along. Yeah, we should do a group photo together. And I will let you hand over. Congratulations. I went to a group photo together then. So that's a new UV version. Congrats! All right, let's do a group photo, yeah. Real quick. Yeah, all together. Thank you. Thanks so much. And just so you know, we do have another enter of Lucky Draw actually. But that's gonna be coming from Will and Mark. So they are the persons you're gonna find in the next 2 days. So stay tuned. And for the next 2 or 3 or 4 5 hours, we're gonna have a party tonight. So yeah, let's hit the music. Thank you everyone. That's the end of our SMB Summit 2026. And one more thing, we're gonna have bigger next year. So if you can give me a applause and a shout out, like make it louder, the loudest as possible, I will record this. I'm gonna show to my CEO, Jason, to prove we're gonna make it bigger next year with the next level. All right, let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, you guys are amazing. Thank you. Have a good night.